The film's hidden luxury beach house real off-limits villa. That can't be true, can it? Hey, you guys. I'm Allie, your resident ghost hunter who, cannot resist a good island mystery.
And I'm Brianne, psychologist, skeptic, and, perpetually unimpressed by spooky coincidences. Sorry, not sorry.
We're caffeinated, we're feisty, and we're absolutely ready to dive into this one.
Welcome to the Veil. Unsolved and unbelievable.
Okay, so check this out. Today we're talking Send Help, the 2026 survival horror thriller from Sam Raimi. And my personal theory, yes, mine, that the hidden beach house in the film points to a real off-limits villa in the Gulf of Thailand.
Haha, conspiracy alert! I'm already rolling my eyes, but proceed.
Back to the story. Quick lay of the land. Send Help is this gnarly, darkly funny survival thriller directed by Sam Raimi and written by Damian Shannon and Mark Swift. Rachel McAdams stars as Linda Little, and Dylan O'Brien plays Bradley Preston, her CEO boss. They survive a brutal plane incident and end up stranded on a remote island in the Gulf of Thailand. Power flips. Survival gets messy. It's corporate politics stripped of HR, right? Raimi does that signature mix of suspense and twisted humor. There's boar hunting, improvised toxins, deception, and the horror is as much about their psyches as about the jungle. Danny Elfman's score is a vibe. Eerie, a little mischievous. It totally punches scenes up. You also get Bruce Campbell popping up in photos as Bradley's late dad, the old CEO, which is such a Raimi wink. And they even weave in audio from Survivor's Jeff Probst. The whole thing plays with our culture's obsession with survival as spectacle.
From a psych angle, it's delicious. You've got a competent woman minimized at work, who, when cut loose from structure, becomes the structure. Gaslighting flips. Dominance escalates. It's survival against manipulation, not just nature. McAdams is feral brilliant. O'Brien shifts from boardroom chest-thumping to desperate bargaining. Also, Raimi said no to a streaming-only release, which, honestly, suits the crowd energy of horror. Right?
Totally. And it landed. It premiered at the TCL Chinese Theater, 20th Century Studios put it wide in the US, and Elfman's soundtrack dropped the same day. It opened at number 1 with about 19 million. It ended up around 94 million worldwide, give or take. The budget was roughly 40 million, and audiences gave it a cinema score B+. Critics were broadly into it. They praised the performances and that gleeful Raimi tone. Here's the deal. In the story, the far side of the island hides this luxury beach house. A jaw-drop twist that totally reframes the whole isolation thing. And my theory is that this wasn't only a narrative gag. I believe there's a real off-limits villa tucked into a cove out there, and parts of production brushed right up against it. They were told, do not expose.
Wait. You're saying the film stubbed its toe on a secret billionaire lair and kept rolling? That's what you're floating?
Yes. Here's what went down. Picture a freelance location fixer out of Bangkok, the kind you call when you need a cove you can't just Google. The brief is coy, a rock shelf that could hide something. So the fixer takes a long-tail boat out past this headland locals avoid at night. The water literally flips from postcard blue to bottle green along a line, like a boundary. Around the bend, slatted eaves, too clean to be driftwood. Not a shack, something built with money. The fixer lands quiet. The sand is raked like a resort, but there are no footprints, no track, just a locked, louvered door sunk into limestone, and jammed into a crack in the lintel. A golf tee, like a place marker. Creepy hush, like the air is indoors. They radio production. We can fake this, but this is the real look. Hours later, the answer isn't excited. It's clinical. Log the coordinates. Do not approach the structure. Photograph from 75 meters only.
Or, standard safety language when you're scouting near private property. Or sketchy geology. Liability exists, Allie.
Next morning, 2 men are posted on the rocks at dawn. Not Thai team, not Aussie crew. They don't block the landing, they just watch and take their own photos. When waved at, they don't wave back. Later, when the unit arrives, the cove is listed on the call sheet by a nickname. No GPS. Mirroring phones to dailies at RAP is unusual but enforced. They dress the beach with story bits, rope, busted raft, a prop golf club. But near that louvered door there are fresh scrape marks across the stone, like a heavy chest got dragged. Those weren't art department marks. They shot wide plates, did interiors later in Sydney, and then moved on.
Mirroring phones is studio hygiene now to prevent leaks, especially with a big distributor. Nicknames on call sheets are normal to avoid paparazzi or looky-loos. And those two blokes on the rocks could be local wardens, private security, or, I don't know, fishermen who don't care to chat.
Weeks on, a grip swears he saw, through the slats during a quick test, a portrait inside that wasn't the Bruce Campbell CEO gag. Different frame, old money vibe. The eyes cut off by the slats. That test shot later disappears from dailies. A literal blank thumbnail where it was. After wrap, our fixer goes back with a Thai friend who knows every rumor. Locals tell the story. A foreign owner built a hideaway. He liked to watch storms, stayed through monsoon, then vanished. A caretaker still rakes the sand each spring so the jungle doesn't swallow the eaves. And now there's a new sign zip-tied to a stake on those rocks. Private Marine Research. No institute named.
Private Marine. Research is the beach equivalent of beware of dog. It keeps tourists off fragile coves. The vanished foreigner is textbook rumour patterning. A neat story to explain a quiet property. And the missing dailies clip? Rights clearance? Or someone decided a blurry frame wasn't worth archiving?
But look at the pattern. Orders not to approach. Watchers taking their own photos. Sand maintained without visible access. Scrape marks no one dressed. A portrait that existed until it didn't. A sign with no institution. And a golf tee that sure doesn't look like a prop. I believe the production brushed a real, off-limits villa and agreed to keep it out of frame. Which mirrors the film's whole point. Hidden luxury. Power you're not meant to earn. Corporate legacy haunting the edges.
Let's move on to the boring explanation, which is, annoyingly, often the true one. The beach house in the film is a plot element. They shot plates in Thailand, which we know, then built controlled interiors in Sydney, which, again, we know. That lines up perfectly with your "we'll build the interior in Sydney" note. The call sheet nickname and phone mirroring are basic studio controls, especially with 20th century studios steering a wide theatrical release. Any actual scandal about trespassing at a secret villa would be a legal nightmare. That does not stay quiet while the movie tops the box office opening weekend. Also, critics focused on Raimi's direction. McAdams' sharp transformation, the twisted humour, the Castaway comparisons, not some hush-hush location fiasco. Bruce Campbell being in those corporate photos is a playful Easter egg, not a breadcrumb to a real dynastic owner. And if you're on a rocky cove in the Gulf of Thailand, water changing colour on a line is just reef and depth, not the ocean redacting itself for secrets.
Okay, but you're ignoring the human behaviors that don't fit. People waved at rarely don't wave back unless they're on duty. The raked sand with no service track. The specific instruction to log coordinates but keep 75 meters. The blanked dailies. A caretaker who tends a place nobody admits exists. It's like classic liminal space stuff. And you know I love a liminal space.
So, let me get this straight. Your evidence is a vibe, a golf tee, and a rumour. Meanwhile, the production ran from February to April across Sydney, LA and Thailand, wrapped cleanly, released cleanly, and all anyone talked about was the nasty power dance between Linda and Bradley, the survivor audio, and Elfman's bouncy menace. I call BS on the secret bunker cover-up.
Not a bunker, a villa. And yes, my theory is stitched from crumbs. That's how these things work when NDAs and polite threats float around. But the film literally hinges on a concealed luxury retreat reshaping reality. Art imitating life, life nudging art. The far side of the island is where rules invert. I think they found a real far side.
Or they read a smart script, built a good set, composited gorgeous plates and went home. The point is, the simplest path fits every documented fact. And honestly, the film's ending, Linda parlaying her infamy into a memoir and a self-help brand, is the real-world bite. That's the commodification we should be worried about, not a mysterious golf tee.
All right, moving on. We can agree on one thing. The allure here isn't just the cove. It's the way hidden truths tug at us. We're wired to chase the locked door on the far side of the island.
And to be suspicious when someone profits off the key. The psychology tracks.
If you want more on survival horror craft, grab the behind-the-scenes documentary features on the Send Help Blu-ray and UHD release. The making of stuff is super relevant to how they built tension, tone, and that island world.
Moving right along. What are you doing after this? Besides polishing your golf tee like it's the Maltese Falcon.
Mini golf, obviously, but without octopus toxin. I'm not Linda-level unhinged.
Good. Because I'd like to keep both my, everything. Thanks for listening, friends.
Keep your eyes on the far side and your questions sharper than a golf club swing. We'll see you next time on The Veil, Unsolved and Unbelievable.